Good morning, Patrick here from Complete Health. I've had a sudden influx of clients again getting problems in their neck. And interestingly enough, there is a big link with most people with neck problems nowadays, especially people in their teens, 20s, and early 30s. And the common link is almost always to do with mobile devices. So mobile devices, what's the big deal with mobile devices and why do they cause so many problems with the neck and shoulders? Well, most mobile devices tend to get people to look down. If you have a laptop sat on top of a desk, you tend to look down at it. If you're using your mobile phone in your hand, and if ever you've seen anyone on the train looking at their mobile phone, you'll normally see their head hanging really, really far forward and then looking down into their lap. Same again with stuff like iPads and tablets. All of these things are exactly the same thing. We all end up looking down for hours on end and not really thinking about the consequences. Now, let me just explain why to you this has become a big issue. If you think your head is a bowling ball and your neck is essentially a cocktail stick, we have to understand that if we lean our head too far forward, the ratios of weight between those two individual structures is not well balanced. And therefore, we start to create a lot of strain on different parts of the neck. Now, funnily enough, this has actually become a coined term in the medical profession, and they actually call it text neck, which is where we look down at objects for too long a period of time and we start to strain the soft tissue, structures and bones in our neck, and we can actively start to see changes. Now, interestingly, when you look at teenagers now, and they've taken x-rays of teenagers who have been suffering with problems with their neck for long periods of time, what they've started to notice is right on the back of the skull that there is starting to be spurs that grow under the base of the skull. Now, the theory is that these spurs are developing because the ligaments in the back of the neck are pulling so hard onto the bones that they start to develop new bone. Now, this is very typical to the same injury that many people will know if they have very active kids, is Osgood-Schlatter's, where the same thing happens in the knees when kids are running around too much. So if tissues become overactive, what they have to do is adapt. Now, these adaptations are not always positive. And in these kinds of cases where we're using mobile phones essentially for hours on end, what we're starting to do is deform the tissues and ligaments in our neck. And if we stretch those over time, there's almost always a snapping point. And the areas that we have to really be concerned about when we look at the neck are things like the discs, the ligaments, and the nerves. And if we start to change these things enough, they will start to trigger pain. If we change those discs hard enough, what we'll also start to notice is the bones will start to friction and rub, and this will start to create degeneration. Now, it is almost always around the lower part of the neck, because when we think about the head going forward, it's the lower part of the neck that gets the majority of the strain. So when we start talking about text neck, what are the kinds of things that will trigger it? Like I said, laptops, mobile phones, and tablets, because these are all things that when you are looking down, they'll start to trigger problems as far as the mechanics of moving your head forward is concerned, and they'll start to create that stress. Now, for every inch the head moves forward, or for every 15 degrees the head tilts forward, mechanically, the head will actually double in weight. So some really simple ways that you can make sure that you're not actually causing this damage. Set your laptop up on a set of books. Don't leave it on the desk. Actually raise it up and add in a separate keypad and a wireless mouse. You can pick up a wireless mouse for less than £10 nowadays. Mobile phones, try and bring them up in front of your face rather than down on your lap. Same again with tablets. If you're going to be using tablets for excessive lengths of time, why not put it on a music stand or a book stand so that you can actually look at it in front of you rather than down at the floor? Just a couple of ideas. Try and save your neck, because guess what, guys? You only get one, and if you break it, it's very, very difficult to get it back. Patrick here from Complete Health. If you need any further advice, please just send us a message. I'll be happy to try and get that information back to you as quickly as possible. Take care for now, and I'll speak to you guys soon.